The time is 7:15. You're on Power Breakfast this morning with Tessa Dooms. Moving along swiftly, the national dialogue, to be or not to be, that is the question. Over the weekend, we saw a lot of developments around the foundations who were the ones who really started the public call last year for the national dialogue, now saying that they have left the planning committee of that. Let's get details about what this means for the process, and particularly the fact that the president says that the 15th of August, the national convention goes ahead. Zwoitwaho Nevhutalu joins us this morning, the organizing committee's spokesperson this morning, just to give us an update. So thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Power Breakfast.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tessa, and to your listeners, good morning.
So give the listeners some backstory here and some background here. Just, 2 months ago, the foundations were on board with the PTT, which had the presidency. They were all sitting together at a press conference with also the NEDLAC and the steering committee. What has happened? What caused this break in the relationship?
Well, I think I need to indicate, Tessa, that before the presidency announced the date of the 15th, the foundations together with civil society were really getting impatient with the president to say that as a convener, he is not announcing the date of the first convention because they really want to get on and start the dialogue process for the sake of this country. And then the date was announced, and then when the date was announced, the preparatory task team started to prepare for the date, towards that particular date, which is the 15th, this Friday. And subcommittees were set up. But along the way, the foundations then said that they thought the date was just too much around the corner. The preparations are not, the logistics are not really there, ready, and the process as they had envisaged it is not going to be citizens-led. One of the issues that they raised was really the delay of the provision of resources for the dialogue by the government, or you can say by the presidency.
And so when it comes to this idea that this dialogue at this point, from the point of foundations, is not being citizen-led, what have they communicated to yourselves that means to them, and what would they like to see instead?
Well, that is a very difficult issue because that's one of the things that was being contested. What exactly do we mean by it being citizens-led? Some of the issues that they're worried about was the fact that the first convention is being supported directly by government, because the moment the 15th was announced, and there was the budget which was initially presented was supposed to be funded 60% by the state and 40% by other donors, whether it is civil society or the private sector, or in kind, in money and in kind. So because of the budgetary process in government, the PTT agreed that we should look at the presidency to provide for the first convention, and that government, instead of paying 60% of the first convention in terms of the division of the conceptual framework, government should now pay or take responsibility to make sure that the convention does take place. So whatever doesn't come to the party, the government must be able to fill the gap. So,
and are they now saying the government has not come to the party and has not put in the preparation? Because they're saying that they're concerned about logistics, they're concerned about whether or not there are things in place to make the 15th even possible. Has government not come to the party?
Well, it's not only government that has come to the party. Government has come to the party, but not only government. Mm-hmm. There were also other entities that came to the party. You have got civil society aligned organization, NGOs like Kasiso Trust that came with about 2 million rand. We have got UNISA that came substantially. It was in kind, but the initial cost of the venue was around 5 million rand that we were looking for. But UNISA says they could provide the venue and a lot of the logistics around there. So government came to say...
For free?
Yes, for free. And then the government came and said, well, we will try and cover the rest of the logistics. We'll use our own procurement in terms of the PFMA. But also, what is very interesting is that during the time of the PTT, when it was still intact, all the subcommittees that were there looking at the what I can say the software of the software of the convention itself, which is what is very important to determine whether something is citizens-led or something or not, was really being led by civil society and the foundations. Government was not leading any really subcommittee. All they were doing was to provide logistical support to really make it happen. And for quite some time, the PTT was at one, looking at that particular date. But somewhere along the way, then those who come from the foundation came with the agenda of the postponement, and it was put to the EPG during that particular time, the pros and cons of it. The eminent persons group actually advised that it's better that the convention goes on, because the convention is really not the dialogue.
All right.
The dialogues are going to happen right in communities, yes.
So the dialogues happen in communities. So then this first convention, two questions about that. One, Kosenati Biko said over the weekend that he believes if the dialogue continues or the convention continues on the 15th, it would be illegal. What is your view on that? And secondly, what is the state of readiness? Do you believe that the 15th can continue in a way that is open? What's the way forward here for the organizing committee?
Yeah, the 15th of August will continue. The illegality aspect of it, I cannot express myself. I don't know. All I know is that there has been an attempt by a political party called the Labour Party to try and hold the national dialogue process. The courts have pronounced on it.
And in fact, the foundations were cited as respondents in that court action.
Exactly.
That the Labour Party brought.
No. Actually, they joined the case as friends of the court.
As friends of the court, yeah.
Yeah, in support of the convention and the dialogue to be able to carry on, and in support of the head of state as the convener, legitimate convener of the dialogue process. You know, this issue now, this great controversy, Tessa, some of the younger listeners were not there. It reminds me of 1994. And in 1994, here we had to go for the elections. I can tell you that there were so many people who were saying that the playing field is not leveled, we cannot go for the elections. And then there was Chris Hani was killed, and some people said you cannot continue with the elections. But we really thank the leadership of Nelson Mandela and his colleagues there, who said we have to go on to an election. And for the first time, South African gathered. It was not a perfect election. I was involved in organizing it myself. Yeah. It was a very difficult election, but it gave us a result. It gave us a new nation. It gave us democracy. And it ended, in a way, apartheid rule during that particular time. There was an outcome. And I also believe that with this, with the dialogue process, the convention itself, we believe we're ready. There may be some hiccups in there, but it will give an outcome. And the outcome of the first convention is to launch the dialogue processes and to release the process from elites like myself and the foundations. We must admit that foundations are elites. We are elites, as I'm talking to you here.
Yeah.
And we are saying that the dialogue process must go to the people.
And
so we must not try and hold on
sure.
to control the process and not release it to the people. A steering committee is going to be elected during the convention, which will represent the various sectors that are there.
Yeah.
And then they will then determine how the dialogue process goes on. So
sure.
the idea of the state is not to hold the convention and the dialogue, actually the dialogue process, but to really release it to the people for them to continue to engage.
All right.
And as South Africans actually determine the future of this country, the vision of this country.
Well, thank you so much, Zwoitwaho Nevhutalu, the spokesperson for the organizing committee, who will be hosting a press conference at 10 o'clock. And one of the tasks and the charges from the foundations has been that of transparency. And so I think if anything can save this dialogue, it's going to have to be lots and lots and lots of transparency.